Hey, this is Mark Schwartz from MTC Media. Notre Dame, several reasons to be optimistic after their 45-38 win over South Carolina. First of all, it was a win, something that Notre Dame hasn't always been able to be counted on in bowl games of late. And it takes some sting out of last year's Fiesta Bowl loss to Oklahoma State. In that game, it was Notre Dame who lost the big game. In this game, it was Notre Dame that two times came back from being down 14 in the first half and found a way to play really, really well in the second half. There was a couple of hiccups, and we'll get to one of them in a second. But for the most part, what you saw in the second half with Notre Dame, and by the way, they played without Michael Mayer and Isaiah Foskey, probably their best offensive player and their best defensive player, and they were able to, in that second half, show what they could be going forward. Now, the second thing you can take out of it was Tyler Buchner played well. He had a hand in 5 touchdowns, 3 in the air, 2 on the ground, and that way he did look like a true blue dual threat quarterback, something that if you want to kind of run that offense, you definitely need. He also threw 2 interceptions. 3 interceptions, and 2 were pick sixes. And the second pick six was especially bad because Notre Dame was inside the 10 and they're going in to score that probably would have put the game away. He throws a pick six and he lets South Carolina right back in this. But there's 2 things he did that I think should make people in South Bend smile, which is, even though he's injured most of the year, he shows that he has a handle on his offense and he can play in his offense. And this offense is different when it's him and not Drew Pine. And it's different in good ways. I know you can say it's different in bad ways, but it's different in good ways because, yeah, you can get some of the bigger plays out this offense on the ground and in the air with one person, unlike with Drew Pine, where you could get it conservatively in the air, nothing on the ground. So that's certainly something that Irish fans should love that they saw here in the Gator Bowl. The second thing is he wasn't so good that it would change Notre Dame's plan of looking inside the portal for a quarterback next year, which of course starts with Sam Hartman at 1, and in my opinion, Brennan Armstrong as an insurance policy. I've written about that. You can go to my site, mtcwithmook.com, and saw what I wrote about why I like those 2 as Notre Dame's first 2 choices. But the performance says this: if I don't get my first 2 choices, or maybe my first 3 choices, I don't have to force it, because I know I can come back with Tyler Buchner being the number 1 guy at the beginning of the season. So that was a positive for Notre Dame. And last but not least, I think Freeman, it started before the Gator Bowl, but kind of was punctuated by the Gator Bowl. He's the guy for the job. Blowing the lead in Fiesta Bowl last year was bad enough, especially when you chose not to play Buchner at all, which would have helped you win that game, and you went with Jack Cohn the entire game. But you followed it up with losses to Marshall and a terrible loss to Stanford. Both of them are terrible losses. An unimpressive win against Cal, but they turned it around. They kept it going. And for a first-time head coach in one of the most high-pressure jobs in America, the way he responded to the slow start kind of answers some questions of whether this guy is ready for the job or not. It shows that he is ready. Now, when you add all those things, on top of him and his staff's ability to recruit, now it looks like that Notre Dame's future could be bright, especially when you add in that the college football playoffs are going to expand. It helps Notre Dame stay independent and be able to play for a national championship. This is it, Marcus Washington from MTC Media.